A special report from De Silva's Media. We have a serious problem today when we have cops tasering autistic children. What about people that don't come because maybe they had a heart attack or they're in shock, and cops are tasering them and killing them because they have a heart attack because of the medication they're on, with people that have been, like veterans, for example, that have had a serious heart condition to where they could not respond to the officer. Well, today there was a little girl who was walking on the highway on Route 5 in Oregon. It was this morning, and she was naked, and she was 11 years old. A taxi cab driver was alerted by this and found her walking alongside the road naked. She had no clothes on, no underwear, no nothing, just naked like Adam and Eve. And the taxi cab driver just attempted to follow her. She kind of walked up, kind of smiled, and he just kept going because she was scared and confused. Sort of like what normal autistic kids would normally be like, because that's usually how they usually are. But what I'm here to tell you is this. With all the training that our police officers go through, because I know some people that are friends of mine that are police officers, they would not have done that by stopping her with a taser gun. This is so important, folks. There are people that want to see the police fighting with citizens and citizens fight with police. If you have people that are police officers that are power hungry, or they use their power the wrong way, report those people, officers. I keep telling you this. Listen to me. Because these people are going to give your whole department a bad name. And if you know there's people doing this, there's channels on how to do this. So it's anonymous, so they can be fired and be dealt with. And if they're not doing the job, then there's channels that you can go through that are higher than your police department or bureau, depending on where you are, that you can go through the process to remove somebody. And if that doesn't work, then you can use the court system. Now, because this is just going to give everyone a bad name. When you see an autistic girl, because I've worked with autistic and retarded kids, or I don't want to say retarded, but mentally challenged kids is the right word. It's a better word to use. So kids that are mentally challenged in many different degrees. They have different illnesses. You don't go up to a kid that's 11 years old and threaten them to taser them, especially when they don't even know what you're saying. An autistic kid is not going to know what you're saying is when you say stop. Because of them, their world's entirely different. So you can say stop to them, and they're just going to laugh at you and keep going because they don't know exactly what you're saying. But you can't tell me that you could not, the police officer that did this, you can't tell me you could not control that 11-year-old naked girl. The right response would have been to get beside her and get her to stop and to put her in your car and to take her to her parents' house. That would have been the right response to do, not to taser her. What's wrong with you? You can't get her under control, then you don't need to be working as a police officer, son. What's wrong with you? What plant or what drugs are you on? You been drinking too much of that fluoride water? You been taking some experimental drugs? You don't go and taser a girl who's autistic or Down syndrome or mentally challenged. You don't taser people if they're having a heart attack or they can't respond. There's been cases on other cases where cops have done these things and killed people because they couldn't respond. They're telling them to get up and they can't get up because they're having a seizure. And the cops tasered them because of lack of training or because they just used their power in a subservient way rather than to use it in the right way. And we need to stop cops that are doing this because it's going to give all good cops a bad name. And if you don't want to have a bad name, then you need to put these fires out. Because the people that are doing this, if this is a new way of police, you need to get out of that profession. Because they're telling you to do this stuff because it's becoming more and more a pattern. So I don't think it's cops so much. I think it's what they're teaching you in law enforcement. And they're teaching you this kind of bad, mafia-like kind of style of justice. I would definitely re-syndicate on that and don't do what they're teaching you. Because that's going against the Constitution. It's going against a person's rights. That autistic girl has just as much rights as I have, or you have as a police officer. If she cannot respond, it's because of her mental condition. It's not because she's on drugs. Of course, it seems like that because if you've never seen an autistic kid or Down syndrome, you might think they're on something. Because they don't act normal, because they're not normal. They're born with a lack of chromosomes, or they're born with too many chromosomes. That's why they act that way. It's a condition. It's a birth defect because of the poison that's in the food and in the water and in the air. A lot of factors play a role in this. Why more kids are developing that way. It's like out of every 59 kids, one has either becomes autistic, or they're Down syndrome. But the point is, I've worked with kids like that. The way to get them is just to kind of caress them and grab them and get them to just pick them up and put them in your car. There's nothing, I mean, they're not too uncontrollable. Yeah, they might scream, they might cry, they might run, but you can catch them. You're a police officer. They're not going to run that fast. You don't have to use the taser gun to do it like they're an animal. I mean, that's a person, yes. She may not be acting right, but she's still a person, just like you're a person. So we need to start acting like real police officers and do the job the right way and stop killing people without the lack of training. Or like this mafia thug-like mentality. We need to act like real police officers and be honest and do it the right way. Right? I don't want to be hearing about all this stuff, this thug-like, mafia-like brutality going on. That's not serving the people. That's just being a militia. You're not a militia. You are the police. You are the help to protect and serve the citizens. Remember that. What you did today in Oregon, what that cop did today, he ought to lose his job. Not just get a 3-day off. Leave and probably get paid. He shouldn't get paid. He should be fired. Because what he did, he was way over the bounds of what the normal law enforcement is supposed to do. All he had to do is just put her in the car without a taser gun. Just pick her up, put her in the car, then look up her. Then go to the police thing and look up the information on the computer to locate her parents. That's what I would have done. Even if you didn't know, there's ways of finding out. Because you can call, you can find out members of the family, you can call to see if there's people in the area that may have seen the girl, and maybe they can know, like neighbors and things that would know where she came from, or if anyone saw her coming from when she left the place when she was naked. So there's a lot of ways you can find out. It may take a little time, but at least she's in custody and she can put clothes on her, and she did not need to be tasered. She's 11 years old. What is wrong? You don't taser an 11-year-old girl. You can't tell me you can't control a girl like that. You're nuts. I can control girls. I work with kids all the time. You know, I really do. And you don't have to taser them to get them under control. Whether they're regular or down or autistic. Yeah, they're going to do stuff. They're going to make noises. They're going to walk away because that's what they do when they have autistic or when they're Down syndrome or when they're mentally challenged. But you don't need to taser them. Got it? Use your head. Don't be like a hat rack. Use your head. Have common sense. Would you want to be tasered? If your police officer has got this mindset. I know they teach you some weird stuff in law enforcement, but you need to go by what you're supposed to do that's right. Not go by what they're teaching you. If they're teaching you this kind of stuff, I would question it. And if they teach it to you, then don't question it, but just don't do it. You know, be common sense. If they want to be thugs and teach this kind of manhandling and power trip kind of mentality, seems like it's a movement all across America now, and law enforcement, because it's the way it's going. You don't have to do it just because they teach it to you. Because you know common sense. You have a conscience. Would you like your child that's 11 years old to be tasered in the back? All right, then. Don't be tasering someone else's child in the back. I don't care if they're epileptic, if they're mentally challenged, or they have Down syndrome or whatever they are, if they're deaf. You don't taser a child in the back for no reason. Got it? That's common sense. All right, I'm kind of disgusted about this. I'm getting tired of hearing things like this happening. We've got a lot of people dying at the hands of police officers, like old people too. I've talked about this. We got to learn. You got to get the right training. If you don't have it, ask questions and learn. Go to classes and get the proper training. Because what they're teaching you in the police department obviously isn't the right things. So you need to go and get trained properly. If you don't know or how to do something as a police officer, you need to learn. And if you haven't learned, you need to pay attention and read up. And if they're not teaching you that in the academy, you need to go with other places and other channels to learn it. So that when you come into a situation like this, you won't be pulling out the taser gun or throwing them to the ground and treating them like an animal mentality. You'll be treating them like a human being, just like you're a human being. Because if the roles were in reversed, I'm sure you wouldn't want to be treated that way, the way that girl was treated today. Think about it, okay, police? Because I know all of y'all are not all bad. But there's a few of you that are, and it gives all of y'all a bad name. Keep doing the right thing, police officers who are doing the right thing. And I salute you. Keep doing the right thing. And remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. And report those who are not doing the right thing. I got to go for now. This is Mike DeSilvas with a breaking and emergency news update.